Why is the SMILER so bad? It's safe to say SMILER has caused a lot of controversy, especially in the last year. I mean, I can't say I blame people either for it being incredibly rough and needing a lot of TLC. It's not great, is it? But it does have 14 inversions and it does so much right. Other than you getting blinded on that vertical lift hill, especially if it's sunny summer's day, from the marmalizer in the middle of the coaster, and also that lovely bit of airtime you do get on the airtime hill. So today we're going to discuss what currently is going wrong with the SMILER and where we could improve it in the future. So we're going to start with the easiest thing they could do, and that is generally just clean it up. I mean, the station was looking dreadful when I went last week, even worse than at the start of the year. And this coaster's always getting eyes on it from the world stage because it has the most inversions in the world. And with actually having a world title, you'd think they would prioritize basic things like maintenance and TLC. I mean, the coaster isn't meant to be brown. Look at this track. It desperately needs a paint. And I hope over the winter period, they do prioritize a paint job for the SMILER, and also, to be fair, Oblivion and X Sector, because that entire area is a reflection of both coasters. Another thing is just maintaining the general moss that sometimes builds up and a couple of weeds and plants. They do kind of do this anyway, however, just constantly regular maintenance of it. Now, the main thing is the ride experience, and the main thing we're going to talk about is the roughness, because you have to find the right train and the right seat to guarantee yourself, well, I say guarantee yourself, to put down the amount of roughness that you might receive, especially on them last 3 inversions, which is by far the worst part of the coaster. And granted, if you do get that right seat and you do get the right train, it can provide actually a decent ride experience. And in my opinion, a simple fix to this would be just to make the entire coaster lap bars if possible. Now, before you start going to the comments saying, oh, lap bars are unsafe, they are perfectly safe. You'll be fine. You're not going to fall out. You'll be okay. And personally, if they did implement them, I think it would get so much more love from its current critics. It would also prevent that head bashing that you do sometimes get if you don't hold yourself in properly. And if they honestly did announce lap bars in some fantasy world, I'd honestly be over the moon. Now, the SMILER is actually pretty well themed anyway. However, I would like to see them expand the theming and actually expand the theming into X Sector as well, a bit like what they're doing or have been doing with Nemesis and the Forbidden Valley. I'd actually like X Sector to feel more like an actual area, proper themed area when you go in. At the moment, you walk into X Sector, and if they didn't have the X Sector sign, it wouldn't make a difference. There's just 2 coasters there. That is it. I mean, granted, that could also be fixed by separate theming away from the SMILER and also flat rides. However, I'd just like to see them use the brand they've got. The SMILER brand is popular, extremely popular, especially from the people who love the coaster like myself. And even from a business perspective, the amount of money they could make if they expand the SMILER brand even further and make people properly love it, a bit like with Nemesis, they would be making some serious coin. I mean, I would actually love to know how much they've earned from expanding the Nemesis branding and also their marketing. If they could do something similar with the SMILER and bring it into the actual X Sector area properly, they could really be onto something. Simple things they could do as well is just also make a different shop. You know, bring something extra to X Sector, not just obviously in the exit of the queue line. Make a proper themed shop, nice and big, a bit like with what they've done with the Nemesis shop. They could also bring a flat ride which is themed around the SMILER's brand and just make that entire side of X Sector all yellow, blacks, and have loads of smiles on it. Maybe not so much speakers. We don't necessarily need the soundtrack constantly going around and round. Bringing some food themed would be great. I mean, the Cursed Water Manor with the ice cream. It doesn't necessarily have to be ice cream for the SMILER, but having an actual food place that is themed around the SMILER. I mean, there's so much they could do with that. You know, genuinely, when I'm like imagining or picturing what X Sector could be like with an expansion of the SMILER brand, it would look so good. This would also mean people stay in X Sector for longer as well. Now, the reason I say this or mention that is because right now people go to X Sector, ride them 2 coasters, and they go out, to be honest. And that is why you sometimes see the times fluctuate quite drastically throughout the day at the moment. You'll sometimes see the SMILER on maybe 30 to 60 minutes. I mean, last Friday it was about 45 to 60 minutes, and it would randomly jump for 2 hours. And if you actually gave people a reason to stay at X Sector, that time would kind of stay at a normal high level instead of constantly fluctuating. And obviously, as I said, you would keep more people down there, which gives you more chance to sell merch. And if you did have food, you'd obviously, or more themed food, should I say, you would have more chance at food sales as well, which again, from a business perspective, is how these theme parks stay open. With Universal knocking on the door as well, theming like what's going on in Forbidden Valley should be the standard in each and every area around Alton Towers over the next few years to try and win some of that market share, especially when Universal will be knocking on the door. People will always go to Alton Towers, even when Universal arrive. However, it's how much they go to Alton Towers or how much of an incentive they have to go to Alton Towers when Universal do get here. Alton Towers have set the bar higher now, which is why I'm confident over the next few years we could see some exceptional theming from the park. Forbidden Valley is beautiful. It's amazing at night. It's great. And if they could do things similar to that in X Sector, they would honestly be on to a winner, especially from, as I keep on saying, it's a business perspective. We're making money. Get people to fall in love with brands. Get people to fall in love with the SMILER and honestly be on something. It is one of your greatest assets, and I don't feel like it's utilised properly from a business perspective. Overall, what I'd like to say is I love the SMILER. This video is not a criticism. It's not me hating on the coaster at all. I would just like to see things improve, and there's so much they could do with X Sector if they realise its true potential, a bit like Forbidden Valley, and also just improving the coaster. However, I would like to hear your thoughts. List some things that you would like to see improved with the SMILER over the next few years if possible. And also, do you love the SMILER? Do you hate it? What is your opinions on the coaster itself? Please make sure to like and subscribe if you did enjoy today's video. Thank you for watching. Goodbye and have a good rest of your day.